Okay, this is Algebra 1, lesson 4.2. This is the second day of this, page 232. Do you remember that we talked about the three forms of lines yesterday? We talked about the standard form, which is ax plus by equals c form, okay? We talked about y equals mx plus b. What's that one called? Slope-intercept. Some people call it y-intercept form, slope-intercept form. And then we introduced this one. And what was that one? Point slope. And what do you have to have in order to use that?
Point and slope.
Point and slope. Okay, and that's the guy that does all the work, correct?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So the first set of problems that we had was basically, if we look at like number 17, okay, it said given a point a -2, a -9, correct? And then the slope was a -7/3, correct?
7/5.
Oh, thank you, 7/5. Okay, so it wants you to write it in slope-intercept form, then it wanted you to graph it, correct? And so we would go, what? Tirsa, what would we write in point slope form? Y plus, y minus a -9, thank you. Parentheses, x minus a -2. Now, will I accept that?
No.
No. Okay, we want it as y plus 9 equals a -7/5 times x plus 2. You must change all minus and minus. Yep.
Do we have to write it like that first, or can we just go y plus 9 equals -7/5 parentheses x plus 2?
It shouldn't be y minus 9. It should be
Yeah, I said y plus 9.
okay, equals a -7/5 plus x plus 2.
Yeah, can I just
If you
do
can go
that?
straight to that, that's fine.
Okay.
Okay. All right, now, in order to graph that, correct, I graph a -2, a -9, right? I'm clear down here, aren't I? Not sure why the author does that, but, and then my slope is a -7/5. Can I go down anymore? So what do I do? If I can't go down, what do I do? The slope is a -7/5. Can I move the negative to the 5? Right? And so I can go up 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, but then where do I go? I go left 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Would you accept it if we went the other way?
Yes, I will accept it either way. It's the same line, right? But I couldn't go down because I ran out of graph, didn't I? And it looks like that. Okay? Any questions on it? Yes, ma'am.
So could you go by twos and moving it?
I would not go by anything but ones
Okay.
until we get proficient at graphing. Just come get more graph paper, okay? All right, or learn to go the opposite direction. If we do it by twos, it gets a lot confusing, okay? That is my advice, Allie, okay? All right, any questions? All right. Well then, you saw the next set of directions. Oh boy, a lot of stuff in there. It says write an equation in point slope form, slope intercept form, and standard form for each line. Correct? All right, we'll start with number 20. We'll do two problems. Number 20 is m equals a -3. That's my slope, and a -2, 6. Correct? All right. Would you put that in point slope form for me? We'll do it across here. How would I do it in point slope form? What would I put? Tater?
Y minus 6 equals -3 parentheses x minus
Okay, now, can I just do plus a positive right there and I'd be okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so that's my first answer, correct? Alright. Then it says, put it in slope-intercept form. So I'm gonna take y minus 6 equals a negative 3 times x plus 2. How do I put it in slope-intercept form, Caden?
Distribute.
Okay, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna put some directions down here, but you're right, we distribute, okay? But I'm gonna write this, and you tell me what this means. Solve for y. Is that what I'm gonna do? And so you're gonna distribute first. So I have y, and I'm gonna change this to plus a negative 6 if you don't mind, okay? And I'm gonna go a negative 3x plus what? Negative 6, all right? Allie, do you understand what I did there?
Yes.
Okay, Braxton?
Yeah.
All right, so now what do I do? What do I get rid of?
-6.
I get rid of this negative 6 because I want to solve for this y. So I subtract a negative 6 from both sides. And I get, this is y plus 0, and I get a negative 3x, and this is plus a positive. So what happens? I get 0, don't I? So I get y equals a negative 3x. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay, that is true. Is that true? I don't think that's right, is it? Did I make a mistake?
No.
I'm trying to read my notes here. I got y equals a negative 3x plus 12. It's a negative 6. And if I subtract a negative 6, I get 0, don't I?
Yeah.
Is that wrong in the book? Did I copy the problem down right? Have you guys done this problem? And that's what you got? I must have made a mistake earlier. Okay, so we think this is the answer, right? Okay, so now, how do we put this in standard form? How do we put this in standard form? I'm gonna take this and put it in standard form. How do I do that? Ashley?
You take the negative 3x over to the other side.
And what happens when I take it over to the other side?
When positive.
It becomes positive. So I have plus y, right? But what happens over there? What's on that side? 0. Okay? The book had the wrong answer to begin with, and so I did it. So, okay, any questions? Yes, sir.
Number 18.
Yep.
Should it be a negative 6?
It should be y equals 0. It's a horizontal line. So it should be y equals 0. That's a bad boy, remember? That's one of the evil twins, because it's a horizontal line, and a horizontal line, Braxton, is y equals, and then your value for y is 0. That's on number 18 he's talking about. Okay? It should be, because it's a horizontal line, it should be y equals some number, Caden, and the point is a negative 6, 0, so it's y equals 0. Okay? All right, I'm gonna jump down then to 26, please. I put it over here. 26, I get a negative 4, 11, and make sure I write this out, a negative 8, a negative 1. Is that true?
Yep.
What's missing? Slope. I don't have slope.
So it's,
So how do I do that?
you
You can't? You're done? So why would they give this problem to us if we can't do it? Oh, but we can, people. If you remember, slope is change in y over change in x. Do you remember that? Alright, so we can take the change in y over the change in x. So I'm gonna take, the y is 11 minus the negative 1 over a negative 4 minus the negative 8. Do you agree? I must do it in the same order. So 11 plus 1 is what? 12, and a negative 4 plus 8 is 4, correct? So my slope is 3, alright? Okay, folks. So now, do I have slope? And do I have a point? I do have slope and a point. The problem is I have 2 points. Which one do I use? It doesn't matter. Okay? If you use the first one, your point slope is going to look different than if, let's say that the first 2 columns, Allie's column and Braxton columns use the first one, and then Tater's column and Ashley's use the second one. Your point slope is going to look different. So I want you to do that. I want Allie and Tirsa and Caden and Braxton, I want you to use this point. Okay? I want Tater, your group, and Ashley, your group, to use this point. Okay? And I'm going to do both, and I'm going to show you. It's going to look like 2 different answers in the beginning. Okay? So I'm going to do it here. So you go ahead. So you got y minus, do it real quick. I got to shut up. Okay. Now, folks, notice, Braxton, your group should have got this. Is that correct? Tater, your group should have got this. Is that correct? Now they look like 2 totally different answers, right? Okay. Braxton, solve for y on this one. Your group, solve for y. Braxton, Allie, Tirsa, Caden. Tater, you guys over there, you solve for this, solve for y on that one. Okay? I'm going to try to do it here. Trying to do it on the same board. So. What do you notice? You get the same. You get the same, don't you? Did y'all get the same?
Yep.
Okay, now, that's weird, isn't it? You get the same answer. You don't on point slope, but you will on slope intercept. Guess what? Let's put it in standard form. Okay, so put each one of yours in standard form. Now you should work kind of the same, right? You'll notice that when you bring the 3x over, it becomes positive, or excuse me, becomes negative, right? So you have to divide by negative 1. And this is the same for both of them. Okay? Correct? All right. Any questions? All right. Let's take a look here. let's take a look here, at, number 29. I'll just start again. I just wanna ask you some questions. Here's the 2 points, right? What do I do first? Ryan, what do I do first? It's the same directions, but what do I have to do first?
Find the slope.
Find the slope. So we begin by doing this. Make sure you take the y's over the x's. Make sure you take the y's over the x's. Whoa, am I getting 1/6? Did you get 1/6, please? Don't let me
Yes.
confuse you. You got negative?
Oh, no, 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 no.
I got positive. Okay, all right. So, and then what do I do from there on? Okay. Which point do I use? Either one. Is it possible to have 2 answers for the first one? Is it possible to have 2 answers for the first one? Yes, but then what happens when we put it into standard and slope-intercept forms? It becomes the same. You understand? Alright, one more problem I wanna look at. Let's take a look at number 31, right? Okay, 31, and then we'll talk about a little bit. It says a rental company charges $100 per hour to rent a paddle boat. That means it charges it regardless of how long you use it. You take a paddle boat, it costs you $100, okay? But then it charges $150 an hour to rent it. The pontoon, I guess it's a pontoon boat, right? And $150 to rent a pontoon boat. So a rental company charges $100 per hour to rent a paddle boat and $150 to rent a pontoon boat. I'm sorry. All right? So there's 2 different things, right? It says define the variables and write an equation in standard form that models the number of hours you could rent a paddle boat or a pontoon boat if you have $1,200 to spend. Okay? All right, let's let X be the hours that we for the paddle boat. Okay? What would Y be then?
Hours for the parking lot.
All right. How do you spell pontoon?
Pontoon.
Pontoon. Okay. Why would it cost more for a pontoon boat? They're bigger boats, aren't they? All right. So how would I get how much you're going to pay for the paddle boat? What would I do? 100 X. You're going to multiply the number of hours, Braxton, by how much it costs you per hour. Does that make sense? So Braxton, how much is the pontoon boat?
Pontoon is 150.
150. And what do we do with it?
150 watt?
That's correct. And if I add those 2 together, what does that have to equal? No, you can't put them together, but it says 1,200. Where'd that come from? That's right. All right. And is it that standard form? Write an equation in standard form. So that's A, right? That's A. Now we skip B because that's really hard to graph. So let's go to C, and it says if you rent a paddle boat for 6 hours, how many hours can you rent the pontoon boat? All right. Paddle boat for 6 hours. Where does that 6 go into in our equation? It goes in for X because that's the paddle boat. Now let's solve for Y, shall we? Let's solve for Y. We know how to solve for Y. We've been doing it a long time, haven't we? All right. So we get 600 plus 150Y equals 1,200. I got 600 because 6 times 100 is 600, correct?
Yes.
Now what should I do? Subtract 600 from both sides. And I get 150y equals 600. Now what do I do?
Divide by 100.
Divide by 150. And y equals, anybody got an idea what 600 divided by 150 is? It's 4. So what is that? 4 what?
4 hours.
4 hours you get to use what?
The
The pontoon boat. Caden, do you have any questions on that? Okay? Alright, let's take a look at 34 and 35. I'm just going to look at 35. Would you read? It says, write an equation for the line described in standard form, Chuck. Write an equation in for the line described in standard form. Take a look at number 35, Chuck. Okay, it says, with x-intercept 4 and y-intercept 5, can we, what does that tell us? Does it tell us points? Can you write x-intercept 4 as a point? You can't? What's that? Who said that? Ashley, you are correct. It's 4, 0, isn't it? Well, then what if you have a y-intercept of 5, what would it be? It would be what? 0 what? 0, 5. Oh, we did write 2 points, didn't we? Now what do we do with those 2 points if we want to write it in standard form? What slope do we have to, what do we have to use? We have to find the slope, but what form do we have to use before we use standard form?
Isn't it
No. What form do we always use when we're given point and slope? The only one that I've taught you to use is point slope. Now that doesn't mean that you can't use the other one, but the only one I've ever taught you is point slope. I have a point, what do I need? I need what? I need slope. So I take 0 minus 5, which is a y's, and I take 4 minus 0. Make sure you do it in the correct order. Do you understand that, Braxton?
Yes.
Okay, what about you, Tirsa? Alright. So I'm getting a negative 5 over 4, because this is plus a negative, right? Which point do I use? It does not matter, does it? Okay? Let's use the first one, just out of curiosity. Y minus what? Equals over times the quantity. Alright. So y minus 0, I'll do that. That's y. What do I do with the negative 5/4? I gotta distribute it in. So I get a negative 5/4 x. Plus, this is plus a negative. Is my answer positive or negative when I multiply? It's positive. But how do I multiply negative 5/4 times negative 4?
Make 4 over 1.
There you go. And what happens to the 4's? So what do I get?
5.
That's awesome. Is that in standard form? Because the direction said write in standard form. So what do I need to do? Move the x to the other side, and it becomes what? Okay? It becomes positive. Okay, am I done?
Or yes.
Really? That's in standard form. What's wrong with it?
Fraction.
It's a fraction. So I'm going to multiply everything by, be careful here, 4. Not the reciprocal, but 4. So I'm going to take 5/4 x times 4 over 1 plus y times 4 equals a negative 5 times 4. Make sure you take everything times 4. The 4's cancel, so I have 5x plus 4 times y times 4 is 4y. And what's a negative 5 times 4? And there is an equation in standard form that goes through these 2 points. Okay? People, you have to learn to read what form they want it in, because you have 3 different forms. You have standard, slope-intercept, and point-slope. You have to pay attention to the directions on which form it is. Otherwise, you're gonna miss it, okay? All right, you have the assignment then for Monday, correct? And you may work.